That's right.
We mentioned EQT. They've got, that's one of the companies that you currently represent, correct?
Yes.
And they've got work going on for gathering lines in Clinton Township, is that correct?
I don't know that.
Now, you testified earlier about the amount of time associated with well sites and well site development and all that. You remember that line of questioning?
Yeah, anticipated times. It's just, you can't judge markets, or, you just take it into consideration on the whole based on your experience and the knowledge that you can gain.
And you don't know where any of the wells in the township, you mentioned 3, you don't know where in their life cycles they are, correct?
No, I don't.
And you don't know how many different times those wells somebody might come back to refrac those wells, correct?
I don't.
And you don't know how many different wells might be drilled on each well pad, correct?
That's right.
And you don't know how many different target formations might get targeted over the life of a particular well site, correct?
That's correct.
And that's all information you would need to know, isn't it, to be able to assess how long the industrial aspects of that site are going to continue?
No, you don't have to know it. It's like saying if somebody had a residential subdivision, you'd have to know that they would develop all the phases and be done in 5 years. You don't know. There are all kinds of factors. It's just your best judgment based on what typically happens.
Those are things you'd have to take into account.
Yes.
How many times a well might be refracked. That expands the life of the industrial activity going on the site.
It's not, no, I think you're doing the, when did you stop beating your wife question? It's
we're
it's
talking
weather.
about
It's
whether-
weather. It's weather. You said how many times. It's whether it would
Okay.
be.
If it will be.
If.
That's a relevant consideration.
It's something that you take into account that is a possibility.
And sometimes that's not known up front, correct?
None of the vagaries of any of these developments are known up front. It's all a chance. You can't guarantee that any of it's going to be built and completed on time. That's why you have bonds.
It's not just built and completed on time. It's how many times a well might be refracted. But that's important information. If you could have it, that would be important information to have, correct?
It's something you should consider.
And it would also be important information to have to know how many different wells might get developed on a site, correct? If you were worried about how long there would be those industrial type activities going on, that would be another important consideration, correct?
If it was ascertainable, or if that information was available.
And you would, the mere fact that it's not ascertainable, that's relevant, isn't it?
Yes, that's just the same as the vagaries of every market. You don't know. If the Sheets goes out of business, you have to consider what could it be after that.
Because once you've zoned it, right?
No, that's not true.
So you can rezone it.
You can change the zoning after it's in there.
But once somebody's got the use established, they've got a pre-existing use, so even if you change the zoning, they're going to be allowed to continue to do the activity there, correct?
They have a bucket of non-conforming rights, but they're not unlimited.
Okay.
And in fact, they very could be. And this is, I think it's another thing that's missed in this whole analysis on the case in chief is that it is not a one-time deal. This is moving, it's a moving body of regulation, and this ordinance can move again. So you're saying, well, you could go to a different strata. I'm familiar with ordinances that only allow you to drill in a particular strata.
Yeah.
They,
And you be, as a municipal advisor, you'd be in a position to defend that, wouldn't you?
that arguably, depending on what you're doing, for example, if you would allow it only in a strata that wasn't, being drilled or marketable,
Sure.
It's hard to make those very generic statements.
Right.
But the municipality can try to limit those types of activities.
All right. You've never Strike that.